So many choices. How do I know which one to pick? Oh, lordy. Styles, caps, tabs, front lace, lace fronts. Well, how do you know which ones to pick? There's just way too many choices. I think I need help. So, as you guys know, I like my wigs. They make a really dramatic change with very little effort, and especially if you, like me, you have really dark hair and don't want to deal with bleach and dyeing and hair costs and all those other things, plus re-dyeing every 2 weeks because roots are a thing, and just fading and all that nonsense. Wigs are just the easiest way to go. And as you guys know, my blue one, or at least you may have noticed, my bright ones are the ones I love, and they are hard to keep up, especially if you're dyeing your hair this color. It needs to be bleached, it needs to be dyed, it needs to be re-dyed, you have to be careful with it, whereas you can just buy one on Amazon. However, if you, as I, have searched on Amazon or any of the other websites for wigs, you probably noticed there is a grand myriad of wigs to pick from. Now, there are those cosplayers that say you should only use cosplay wigs, and while that is great, if you, like me, are working off tips or allowance, that is not always an option. While I'm sure the $40 to $100 wigs are amazing, they're also $40 to $100, and I ain't got it. However, if, like me, you've gone to like Walmart or Target or even Spirit of Halloween and have checked out those wigs, you also notice these ones aren't great either. So how do you know what to pick? Now, I am just a basic cosplayer. I do this for fun, and I want you guys to be able to miss some of the hiccups that I have hit. So here's some things I've learned about picking wigs. Alright, guys, as always, this is not a sponsored video. These are all my own wigs that I have bought for various reasons or just because. And I'm kind of going with, I have all price ranges. I have one that I got from Goodwill for about $5. And we'll talk about what benefits that has. All the way to my very nice wigs that were like $30. So, okay, they're not really nice wigs, but they are nicer wigs. And I have everything in between. Now, I have occasionally tried to save money by getting a slightly cheaper wig, and we will talk about why saving money isn't always the best idea. Okay, so the very first wig I want to talk about is my $5 wig. Now, this is actually a lot better than I thought it would be, which makes me think this might have been a little bit more expensive. I found this one at Goodwill and paid about $5, $6 for it. It is fun. It comes pre-put together, so there is that. And as you can see, it's probably lived in a plastic bag. It's not been real kept up. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out when we put it on. The one thing that I've been having trouble with is caps. Now, there is a cap underneath all of your wigs, either right here on top or all the way through. Most of the cheaper wigs have caps that one size fits all, which then causes the problem of one size does not fit all, ever. One size fits most, one size fits very few, one size never fits me. So I have at least 2 wigs that have these kind of caps where they're stretchy on the back. And as you can see here, let's turn this inside out. So it's just a piece of netting that goes all the way through. And it looks almost like a wig cap, like from my wig videos, but it's just all together. Now, the reason some of this causes problems is the wefts can't move. And we'll talk about wefts when I get to the slightly more expensive wigs. But wefts are basically just the lines of hair in a wig. So you guys can see, let's see if we can find a weft. All right, there we go. So that's a weft. So there's just basically these rows of hair, kind of like you find fringe for the edge of like curtains, but it's just hair that goes down. This one is actually kind of nice. It's got these wonderful tabs that go over like right here, because I found that's the hardest part to cover up. My hair is fairly dark, so I had it with pins or I put bangs over it or something. So because my hair, especially because you guys will see, I have a widow's peak, which makes life kind of hard too. And so if you have natural hair that's a little bit more hard to hide, it does do that thing. If you have blonde hair, I'm sure it's much easier to sort of hide it, especially if you have a light skin tone. Alright, so this one is actually a Monster High wig. Like I said, I found it at Goodwill for about $6, and we will see how it fits. Alrighty guys, now the first thing I can see is these bangs need some TLC, but honestly, it doesn't fit as poorly as I would have thought. Now these do come out really low, so you get that nice little Vampira thing. Let's check the back. So honestly, most of the problem with this wig, this $5 wig, is that it was living in a bag at Goodwill. Someone just threw it in a plastic bag, and that's how it came. Now, the bangs definitely need some help, which can be fixed with some scissors and some hairspray, so that's really not that bad. I kind of like the pink. I may undo the style, though. Now, the one thing I'm discovering is right here under the style, there is no hair, so the wefts are fairly far apart, maybe about an inch and a half. So the fewer wefts there are, the less hair there is in a wig, and especially if you want to try to restyle, it means you can't pull up because there's a giant space where there is no hair. And I can see right now, if I was to pull it up the way I normally do, you guys can see there's no weft on that bottom thing. So you can't put it up and have it still looking nice. Okay, so for what it was, it's probably not that expensive. I'd imagine this is probably a more expensive wig given that it is a name brand. But this is definitely one that you probably get at like Spirit Halloween or one of those places where it came with a full costume. It's not a bad wig, but it's also not necessarily the best wig, though it might be fun. It's also a lot cooler than some of my wigs, probably just because there are fewer wefts and fewer layers of hair in it, so it's just kind of cooler. Now, I am noticing this one fits my head pretty well. It may be a kid size because my head is usually a little bit of the smaller size, and it did have an entire section in the back to where to put your hair. Now, I put my hair all the way up, as I showed you guys in my wig video, so not all of those wigs need that, and we will talk about that in just a second. Alrighty guys, so you can see my stocking cap and all my hair. My hair is all the way up. Here is my second cheapest wig. I wish I had kept my cheapest wig. I bought a $5 wig at Walmart, and I could show you guys what a really cheap wig looks like. And as I talked about, my $5 wig was probably worth less than that, because it was a case of there weren't a lot of wefts. The fibers were really poorly made, and I'm sad to say I usually like getting stuff cheaper. That was just not worth it. So there was that. It was just one size fits all cap, and it did not look good on. It was very staticky and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it would have needed a lot of TLC to be any better. So luckily I was able to take it back and return it. This is my second to cheapest wig, which is the black one I bought for Vanellope. Now, I did purposely not pick the most expensive wig, or at least a normally priced wig that I would get, because I was trying to do something quick and I thought I could cut corners. You guys are hearing the butt already, aren't you? So with this wig, unlike some of the wigs that I normally wear, it does not have as nice of a cap. It does have the little straps so you can make it smaller or tighter, but it doesn't have the things that go over here. And the one thing I did notice with the Vanellope is that the wefts are very far apart. So that is a clear 2 inches. So if the wefts are 2 inches apart, that means if you pull it up, you'll have bald spots, which is not something you ever want. It does work fairly well down. I have noticed it tangles really quickly. I don't know if all of my wigs tangle like this. Like, it's sort of, not dreadlocking, but it sort of pulls into its own sections. But there is that. So other than that, it's actually a fairly good wig. I've worn it to work twice and no one seems to notice. The one thing I don't like, and this is similar to the Monster High wig, it has one of those ones where it's not necessarily capped, it's all netting. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but there is a weird thing right here at the very top. Oh, that must be it. So there is a section where the swirl for the very top is too. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's got more space for hair. And the one thing I've noticed, because it doesn't have a cap and then wefts, when you try to pull it back, or if you have a smaller head, you get these weird like creases in the cap when you wear, when you wear shirts that are too big and you sort of like tuck them in and you get those weird like folds. The same thing happens for wigs. So that is the one negative I have about this one. I really do like this, and I might get one that I like a little bit better, just so that I don't have that constant feeling of, why is my hair doing that? So there is that. This one was $10 on Amazon. It was a Prime. So there are that. $10, it's one of those things. It depends on what company and how much money. I have gotten, and I'll show you guys the next one, I think was $15. And so it's one of those things. You never really know what you get until you get it. And I really wish we had a wig store next door. But give me 2 minutes. Alrighty guys, so here's the black wig. It's actually, after putting the last one on and having my blue one on, this one's really big. So I'm wondering if this just is not the right cap for me. And I just have a small head, which is a thing. So there's just a lot of extra space back here. And you guys probably won't notice. I got people at work that didn't notice either. So again, if you try to pull it up, you guys can see it starts pulling and leaving spaces. So there is that. You can't really pull it up. Besides the fact that, again, it does not have that weft on the bottom layer, so you can't pull it all the way up without putting a hairband on it or something, so that it kind of covers the edges of your hair. We will show you the back. So I don't know if you guys can see that. I can feel it. And this is the one thing about all of the wigs. You need to feel comfortable in them. Otherwise, they look really fake, right? Like, it's one of those things where you're trying to aim for as natural as possible. Like, clearly some of these are fake. My hair color is just epic. But unless you have a stylist that's amazing, your hair's not going to look like this naturally. Or you just put a lot of time in it and it does not change day to day. So if something doesn't feel comfortable, if it's just like this one where I can like literally feel it not fit on my scalp, you're going to be sitting there and messing with it a lot more. I've had a few where like the bangs fall forward, or like if they're too tight, they fall back this way and you're constantly sitting there going like this, which is also not natural. So you want to try and find something that is comfortable. The one joyous thing about Prime is you can always send it back. So my next cheapest wig, you guys have probably seen a lot. I have worn it in a number of videos. I actually noticed I think I wore it 4 videos in a row. I'm so sorry about that. I try to change it up, but I was just obsessed with this wig. And yes, it is my cotton candy wig, and I do love this one. Now, this is an interesting situation where this wig was only $4 more than this wig. So I think this was $9.99 and this one was $14.99. So but as you guys can see on the inside, the cap is already much sturdier. You can see just by me holding it. You can, like, I'm only holding it up by my fingers, and it's keeping its shape, whereas this one folds in and does all kinds of crazy things. You can also see the hair. There's a heck of a lot more hair in there. It looks bouncy and it looks full. Where this one, if you take it off, it doesn't have that fullness that most wigs have, or even natural hair would have. Let's turn her inside out. Now this is a cap and weft one, so you guys can see there's the pretty cap and then there's the wefts. So even if it was a little bit bigger, the wefts would just hang. It also has a nice band all the way around, which you probably haven't seen. So there is the sections for over your sideburns. There's a section over the forehead, and there's a nice big section that goes on the back of the head. And there are wefts all the way down, even on this section. So this section will not bend, as well as some of the other ones, but it's also going to cover all the way down past your hairline. So if you do, because this is a short wig, you'd be able to see things much easier. Now it has the wonderful little straps to make things tighter or smaller. Tighter or looser, Elizabeth, tighter or looser. Now I don't have this problem because this one fits me perfectly and I love it greatly. The one problem I do have with this wig, and yes, I do have a problem even with some of my best wigs, is it has a fairly specific bang pattern. They want your bangs straight across your head. Now, because of my youthful appearance, I cannot have bangs straight across my head. I've tried it. I really did. I was 25 and I decided I wanted to frame my face. Dear Lord, I looked like I was 12. I have pictures, but I'm not going to show you. So I already get mistaken for 10 to 15 years younger than I actually am, if not more. I don't need to encourage it. So I do like these sort of swoopy bangs. They are much more fun. So there is that. Give me one sec. We will show you cotton candy. Alrighty, so cotton candy, this is just a fun wig to wear. And yes, while I was just talking about having wigs that make me look younger than I am, this is the exception. It's just fun. Now, this is one of those ones where it does have a little bit more space up here. I think I may have put my hair weird, but it does fit very well. It's nice and tight on the scalp, so it doesn't feel weird like that black one did where it was just loose. This one feels like it's on your head, and you can move it without making it loose things. Like I said, if you look like right here, if I try to pull the hair too much, that band, the nice band that I was talking about, shows up really poorly. And if you guys pay attention, at least every time I go like this, I could see that little white square in the corner. I was like, man, I don't know how to film or edit, do I? But it is what it is. Now, these bangs are super, super long. If I was just to leave them like that, I can't deal with it. You guys can see they're pretty high on my forehead and I still can't deal with it. So this one was, as I said, about $14.99, $15.99, I forget, on Amazon. It was a Prime. Actually, no, this one was not a Prime. There was a Prime that was $1 more, and I ended up trying to go for the cheaper one again. It got sent directly from China and took over a month. So some things are worth the wait. This was definitely one of them. It'll be interesting. I'm half tempted to get the other one that is on Amazon Prime just to see if there's any difference or if it's just they have this from the Chinese storehouse at the Amazon storehouse and they're charging you to store it here as opposed to having it shipped all the way from China, probably on a boat, judging by how long it took. So there is that. This one's pretty nice. Let's look at the back. I like these wigs because, especially when you're caring for them, you do them section at a time. So like I talked with my black wig, I think I'm just not used to the sections because curls kind of section themselves. And as you like brush them out and stuff, you go section by section by section. So it might just be, this is my black one's my first straight wig, and I just need to get over it. I am learning too. I'm trying to help you guys learn. There are a lot of YouTube videos about wigs, so if you're watching mine, you guys are awesome. The next in my price range is the gorgeous blue one I was wearing to start with. These are ones I do wear with headbands just because this one has been loved greatly, 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 and I've actually started pulling some of the hair out of it with each brushing that I do. So you do have to be careful with your brushing, and wigs are not permanent. Luckily, this one was one of my $20 wigs, I think, so it's fairly easy to replace if I need to, though I do love this one, and I just love the color. As you can see, as they're getting more expensive, they're actually getting slightly less shiny, too. So the quality of the fibers gets better as you spend a little bit more money. I'm sure if you got to the $100 wigs and the $200 wigs, they're basically human hair, so they wouldn't be the shiny, bright colors that you would find here. But at the same time, I've watched a number of YouTubers dye the natural hair wigs, and of course you use hair dye just like anything else, whereas if you were going to color the natural wigs like I'm planning to, or the non-natural wigs, you then have to work with acrylic inks. Now this is another one. It's got the whole thing. It's basically a lot like the inside of this wig. The only reason it's more expensive is there's a buttload more hair. So $5 more, at least 6 inches. So this is a very nice wig. I love this wig. It needs to be brushed out again. And again, it has these wefts, so if it doesn't fit just right, or if it's loose, it hangs down, and the weight of the hair pulls it down, so it keeps it nice and tight on your scalp. It has the same swirl as the black one, and even this one. Well, this one has the actual part stuck into it. So these are ones I use a lot. I have a brown one, a red one, and a blue one. And so these are nice, easy, medium quality wigs. If you're a beginning, cosplayer, I would say start with one of these. This one brand is called Another Me, and I've loved them. I have 2 of their wigs now. And they're just nice, easy wigs to keep. And I think I've been wearing this one since March, so it's been a few months, and I'm only starting to lose a lot of hair at this point. But I cannot say enough good about this wig because, honestly, I use it a lot, and I'm probably going to wear it tonight to work. Alrighty guys, last wig. Okay, so on the spectrum of cost, this is my most expensive wig. You guys can see it's holding up its shape very nicely, kind of like this one. And again, these fibers, not nearly as shiny as these, though super, super unnatural. This wig was nearly $40. However, it comes with attachments. It actually comes with ponytails that clip on. So like I said, this is the most expensive, but it did come with 2 full-length ponytails. So you're getting a lot of wig for this money, which is, like I said, it's about $40, but it's definitely worth it. The fibers are super soft. And like, the thing I like is, like the last few wigs, it has the wefts, it has the nice thing, it has the nice cap, it has the correct length of hair. The one thing I have against my red and my blue wigs is the bangs are just way too long. And I do need to cut them, and you can get them, like if you put them on, you could probably take them to a hairdresser and have them trimmed. Because you can trim your own wigs. I'm just kind of terrified of doing it because I am not the best of hairdressers. So you can always take them places and go, can you help me with this? This is definitely one of the more expensive wigs. I do love it. I forget what brand it is, and I will make sure to put them all down below so you guys can see where I found things. I love the curly ones, so I get them a lot. Give me one sec. Alrighty, so this is another one I love. It is brightly colored, it's fun, it's curly. And so this is another one where, and I didn't show you guys the blue one. This one I have taken it to put up like this when I have it at work. And as you can see, it's still a little bit visible at the bottom, but it's not nearly as bad. So you can still see the wefts, which is kind of why I use the hairbands. It's not just because I lose hair here. But it is nice and easy to stick up. So these ones, if you put them in ponytails, if you put them up here, you guys can see, you don't see the wefts or even spacings as much. So their spacing is much closer on these wigs than it is on some of the cheaper wigs. The more wefts you have, the easier it is to look like natural hair. Now the fun thing with these ones is they do come with pigtails, which make you look like an anime character, and I am living for it. These ones actually come with their own net around just a regular hair clip. So it is kind of fun and easy to put on. So they literally just clip on. So if you've ever wondered how the anime characters at cons get their hair, this is how they're cheating and using clips. And as you can see, there is a whole host of hair now. It's not just the hair pulled up. It is literally extra hair. Those aren't sitting quite right because they are hurting my head, which is not the purpose of this. So these ones are definitely very cool. This is not one of those ones that you can like wear to work. I work in food service, and this is not something I could pull off just because there is too much hair out and about. But if you ever see like the Lolita wigs, this particular brand, if I remember right, has a whole host of different ones. They have like just plain black and plain brown, but they also have black and red, black and blue, pink, blonde and pink, and all kinds of combinations. I think they even have a rainbow wig for Pride. They have one like this. They have one that's more blues. They have one that's more turquoise. So there are a whole host of colors. So if you do like the Lolita and you want the blonde and pink, that one is available too. And so these are super cool and can be worn both up and down. And as you guys have noticed, like some of the more expensive wigs, they're just easier to maintain and easier to wear. Let's take these off. Okay guys, so as we've walked through some of my wig collection, what has been helpful to you? Have you guys learned anything new? I'm actually kind of intrigued and tempted to try that first wig on again just to see what I can do with it. I'm kind of tempted to take it to work today. As this is the month of Halloween, hey, Christmas gets 2 months. I should get at least a month for Halloween, where cosplayers can wear what they want. We should enjoy it while we got it. So, I hope you guys found this useful and hopefully learned something from it. So we'll see what happens next week. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and I will see you guys next Fandom Friday. Bye!